Good morning. It's Friday, February 25th. In our class, I wanted to post a video that talks a little bit about your upcoming case study. My intent was to get it out a little bit earlier than this, but I have had some medical procedures this week, all routine so far, and I haven't been able to do this. Also, our priest has been gone, so I've been saying every service at the church also in that particular time, and as you know, that probably does take time. First thing I want to talk about is the exam. My brothers and sisters, please be very specific in your answer to these questions. I read your answers at least twice to see if I've missed anything, and I go back and change grades if I need to on some of these things. But when asked you to compare and contrast something, you just do not want to list them. You want to compare and contrast them. In other words, how are the methods of validity different than the methods in both qualitative and quantitative research? And you might want to tell what some of them are and why they are so different. Many of you ran out of time on the exam. As I've said, you cannot possibly finish the exam in 2 hours if you do not know what the exam is about. I've posted study guides. I have basically told you what the questions will be before the exam in those study guides. So I encourage you to look at those particular options too. Be very specific. Don't fill me with a lot of words and think that I am not going to see through this. You're demonstrating that you really don't know material. So please keep that in mind as you prepare for exam 2, which happens in a couple weeks. I want to talk about case study research for a while, and there's only 2 points I want to make about this. You have a wonderful exemplar that you have access to. That exemplar is one of the best I have ever seen written by a student. So I encourage you to look at that and get guidance. Another item is you just can't list links to your 5 reference articles. You have to be very specific and put them in APA standards with a hanging indent, and just like APA requires you to do. If you have any questions on that, please see my PowerPoint on APA standards at the beginning of the course. A couple things. What is a case? A case is a bounded system. I don't want a narrative study. I don't want an ethnographic study, although those could be minor parts of a case study. I want you to look at a case that is bounded. Please don't pay any attention to the end of the chapter where it talks about matrices when you do lots of case studies and things like that. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this course. It's in there because case studies do include those kind of things, but I'm not going to test you on any of that in the upcoming exam. So if you've read it, great. And for those of you who haven't read the chapter yet, then you can skip the last part of the chapter on those particular things. Like, let's take for an existence. A case might be the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team, or both of them combined. But you have to be looking at a specific phenomenon in that. For example, how do current training methods for the ETBU women's basketball team affect the team? Notice the affect, not an effect, okay? Usually the questions for this type of research are how. I've used how all the time. How does this reading curriculum affect students in my 8th grade class? Now you're doing a case, you're not doing an action research study, which is what we'll talk about next week. Please email me, text me with any more questions you have. I'm praying for all of you and have a blessed week. I'll try to put the materials up a little bit earlier next week because I have some more medical procedures coming up. Pray for me and the success of these procedures, please. I pray for every one of you daily. God bless.